Welcome to the Grit and Grain podcast, where we explore and celebrate the craft beer industry, community, and history in Tacoma, Washington, and surrounding Pacific Northwest areas. Thank you so much for hanging out. Let's get to it. Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Grit and Grain podcast. My name is Matt McLaren. We are short a Ron Swarner today because he's out doing family stuff out of the state. But we have Sean Nips a Blastin' Jackson.
Yeah, they are.
Which is what I've been calling you to myself all week.
Cut and ready to roll today. Yeah,
say that good. One more time.
Sean Nips a Blastin' Jackson.
Yeah.
That was his intro for Colin last week.
Yeah.
Nice.
And then so kind of our guest slash fill-in today is kind of doing double duty, but our local favorite beer person, Jeff Lee, is hanging out.
Jeff Lee has a posse.
Yeah.
I don't know if you knew that.
Fuck, man.
I've heard that a couple times.
Yeah. it's true life.
It is true life.
So welcome, man. Thanks for hanging out.
Hey, thanks for having me, guys. Appreciate it. Sean called me the other day and was like, "What are you doing on Wednesday?" I said, I got to go to the Rainiers game. He said, "Well, I need you to do something else." Like, let's fucking go.
Sean doesn't ask for favors very often.
That's not even a favor.
Nah.
No.
It's a pleasure.
Good. Well, right on, man.
National treasure you are to the beer industry, so.
Yeah, seriously, man. I didn't want to oversell you too much, but like the fucking famous Jeff Lee.
I'm just working on the Keith Richards brand of getting myself preserved for later life. So. I can't afford drugs, so I just might as well do beer.
The beer approach.
Yeah.
Which, as we were talking about, you were fucking proving that shit last week during Tacoma Beer Week, man. You marathoned harder than any of us, I think.
It was pretty brutal. I'm pretty sure it was about 40 beers from Thursday to Sunday. So, I don't know. It might have been 40 here at Hoppywood Squares.
It was nothing over 32, I promise.
Well, they were all like,
let's be reasonable.
That's where I stopped it.
Yeah.
It was fun, though. What a great week.
That was a great time. And thank you, Matt, and thank you, Jeff, for bringing stuff for our little Parkway garage sale for Feed 253. I think the final tally of the tape ended up being over $1,300. So
holy smokes.
Fantastic.
He said that that'll go a long way. Months, I believe.
That's great.
So, yeah, thank you.
It's amazing. Thanks to the beer community out there for everybody coming out and helping out.
Yeah, for sure. So, yeah, this last week's came out the day before Hoppywood Squares, but next year during Tacoma Beer Week, it's always a huge highlight event. But Hoppywood Squares at the Parkway raise a shitload of money for a great local organization, and it's a fucking hoot because we get to sit up in a big scaffold death trap and play Hollywood Squares about beer questions, and it's awesome. Yeah, it was so much fun.
The more beer consumed, the more fun it is.
Yeah, just like this podcast.
Yeah, also true.
Yeah.
By the way, what am I drinking here?
What are you drinking, man?
So I got Jeff Lee, the everybody's bombastic, fantastic, another Phantasm beer. I know you love your boy Doug.
Episode,
I do love my boy Doug.
Yeah.
Doug is actually one of the very first people I ever met in the biz. I was at the park, or not at the park. I was at the Red Hot, slinging some wieners and beer, and this dude was down at the end. And let me tell you, Doug can eat wiener. Doug can seriously pound hot dogs. That guy can eat. But so I started talking to him kind of and bullshit, and we hit it off right away. And so I want to say it was the second Tacoma Beer Festival was going on down on the Foss Waterway. Mm-hmm. And my wife and I went down there. I actually called in sick to my regular job. I didn't work I did work at the Red Hot, but I didn't work Saturdays then. And I called in sick to my other job and went to down there to the Foss. And he was down there all by himself. And my wife and I went in there and started bullshitting with him. And I was like, "Don't you got to piss or something?" And he was like, "Oh, dude, so bad." So I was like, well, I'll get behind the booth for you. So Steph and I, my wife, jumped down behind the booth, and he starts telling me like, oh, so Country Boy's hot profile, like, and I'm like, dude, just go piss. I'll make it up, and nobody will know. Don't even worry. So he went to the bathroom, and he came right back, and I was like, well, aren't you hungry? He's like, oh, I'm starving. And so I was like, well, why don't you go eat? So about 45 minutes later, he came back, and he was pretty thankful. He's a great guy. If you've never been down there to Everybody's in White Salmon, it's worth the trip. The food's great, the beer's better, company's great. And so we just bullshitted, and he just handed me pint after pint of cask of Country Boy, and friendship was born.
Yeah. So, couple things, but first,
Yeah.
I've got a story about that beer festival.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
Of course.
So, Shane and I and our ladies, Jessica and Lisa, we were next door to Joel from Two Beers at the festival. We'd poured through our beers, and there was a little time left in the festival, and Shane and the gals went and did a lap, and Joel also was by himself, and so I was like, man, why don't you get out and take a lap? Like, I'll run your booth for a while, go spread your wings and hobnob, and he had a fresh hop and he had pumpkin beer on, so so I grabbed myself a glass of fresh hop, and I'm doing what you're not supposed to do, which is, of course, drink behind the booth.
Yeah.
I'm slinging the beers, I'm drinking, and he gets back, and I swap out and go hit the floor, and I make it, I don't know, 5 yards away, and he gets a beer, starts pouring himself a beer, and old Martinez from Liquor Control Board
Jim
pops out from behind the curtain and ended up pinching him for doing what I was doing, not less than a minute before. Like,
Holy shit.
I'm not, I was used to getting in trouble. I felt bad for Joel. I was like, I do this shit all the time. trouble.
Martinez was a ball buster.
He took his job very seriously.
Yeah, he did. Always strapped.
And funny thing was, sometimes he would come into the brewery, like he would go next door at E9, and he'd run through the restaurant and harass everybody. But then he'd come hang out at the brewery, and Shane and I would just have like open beers everywhere.
Damn.
It's just like, we were like, we get all nervous, like shit, and no fucks.
He's like, oh, no, I'm off the clock, man.
Yeah, I'm off the clock. So we would sit there and bullshit for like way too long.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was like the about face from serious business to
From 4:45 to 5:15 after he clocks out,
Yeah.
man.
You never knew what was going to happen at 5:15 in the back of the E9 brewery.
yeah. Second question: what was your other job? You said you called into your other job.
Oh, I waited tables at a restaurant in Eatonville. It was called Jabino's. Actually, it was pretty successful. In fact, 2008 or 9, it was Best of Western Washington Italian, which was pretty awesome. We had people that came from Port Angeles for birthdays and shit. It was pretty wild. I mean, that's like a, 3.5 hour drive?
Seriously.
Wow.
Live entertainment every night. We had this kid, he was Chris Anderson. They called him the singing busboy. Dude had a voice that was, it was angelic. And everybody loved, especially the old ladies loved this dude. I mean, it was just like panty drop in heaven. It was, you never seen more 70-year-old ladies ready to hang that shit up. It was like Tony Bennett or something. But no, he really put on a show. So no, I just waited tables out there. It was a pretty good gig, actually. It was awesome, too. I worked Thursday, Friday, Saturday, 3 12s, and dropped a fat amount of tips, and then Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday off every week.
Damn, dude.
So that was actually when I discovered this place, because I had moved down here to my wife had gotten a job in Seattle, and was like, after a week of driving, she comes after a week of driving to Seattle, she comes home, and from Eatonville, she's like, hey, we're moving. I'm like, oh, hell no, we are. And because I walked to work. It was beautiful. Make good money, the whole 9 yards. And I come home Saturday night, and she's like, I got us an apartment in Tacoma. I'm like, what? And I was so pissed off. And so the next day she's like, just come check it out, you know? So we jump in the car, we come all the way out here. And I've got these Tecumseh thoughts in my mind. Like, I mean, my dad had warned me about going to the hilltop, you know? Like it was some legit fear. I mean, I grew up in Oakland, but I still was kind of like, or right outside of Oakland. But so first thing she does is she takes me to the neighborhood right here around the parkway, and she just drives me around, and I'm like, oh shit, this is nice,
Beautiful.
like, wow. She drives me by the mansion house down here, you know, the one they're working on right now. And I'm like,
West Mansion.
And there's like fountains and all this cool stuff all over. So then she takes me to the apartment. The apartment's beautiful. It's hardwood floors, crystal doorknobs, a bathtub that my fat ass can lay totally out in. Like I can lay in perfectly and just stick my nose above the water. View of Mount Rainier out one window, view of Commencement Bay out the other. And I'm just like, wow, this is sweet. And then she's like, it's $1,100 a month. And I'm like, oh shit. Like back then that was like, we didn't make a ton of money. And so she's like, well, let's go talk about it. So she rolls me down the hill and she takes me to the Matador and feeds me a margarita. And I'm like, oh, this place is pretty cool.
Tacoma's all right.
Yeah. And so then we walk over to Patty Coins and we have a couple Jameson shots and an Irish car bomb. And I'm like, fuck, let's go. All right, sign me up. So I think we lived here about 3 weeks later. So
That's what's up.
That's what was up. It was awesome.
Dude.
Well, then the worst part was the first morning. It wasn't the worst part, but it was crazy. We lived out in the middle of goddamn nowhere in Eatonville. Like, it was so quiet and dark. And I mean, this is, coming up Stadium Way. It's the ambulances are running up there. And so the first night was just like culture shock. It was like I was back in Oakland, like listening to the helicopters and it's like fireworks or gunshots. The Tacoma Marathon was running right underneath our window that first morning. It was like, holy shit. But like always, the wife was right.
Yeah. So, okay. I guess getting into the Red Hot then.
Yeah.
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 So you were opening crew?
No.
Okay.
No.
I don't know why I...
Nope. Actually, funny story, and not a lot of people know this, but so when we moved into the complex, I had a lot of time. I had Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday off, so I did a lot of walking around the neighborhood, and I found the Parkway. Like, she didn't take me to the Parkway. So I'm in there, I come in and I sit down at the bar and felt right at home. Like, I mean, it was just like, oh God, this is what I'm talking about. Killer tap list. I had actually never had Spire Pear cider before.
Parkway always feels like home.
And it was like, I was like drinking ciders, back here playing pinball, and I'm showing up pretty much every day. I don't even know who was the day shift bartender at that time, but whoever it was, they had quit. And the job was open, and I'd seen it posted somewhere. I can't remember where, but I applied for the job. Well, Jamie applied for the job also, and we know where that went. So think about where that could have went, though.
Yeah.
I mean, totally crazy.
Wow. So,
I was sitting there. I used to sit at the bar with Red and,
Parkway what ifs.
Yeah, Parkway what ifs, totally. So, just going back to the Red Hot. So, when I moved into this place, Bayside Gardens, it was like a who's who of Tacoma. Stu Miller lived there.
Oh, shit.
Joy from the Swiss. Rob Zinkovich, if you guys all know Rob Z. Kristen Lyon. I mean, it was like a boom place and party central. So this one day I walk out into the backyard and there's this dude walking his dog with a Steelers shirt on. And me being the smart ass I am and a Raider fan, I go, hey dude, did you lose a bet? And he's like, huh? I said, man, did you lose a bet? And he's like, what do you mean? And I was like, why else would anybody wear a fucking Steelers shirt? And it was Stu Miller. And he just, like Stu Miller was wont to do. So we started bullshit, and he told me about his family had this craft beer and hot dog bar. I was like, I fucking love craft beer and hot dogs. And the funny part is Stephanie, my wife, had told me, like, hey, I met this dude, Stu. They got a craft beer and hot dog bar. And, of course, being the guy I am, I was like, oh, okay, cool. So when I heard it from the horse's mouth, it took real presence.
Jackass.
So exactly. So this one morning, it must have been a Sunday morning, we went to Masa for breakfast and stepped outside of Masa, just stuffed his shit, looked over, and I was like, hey, there's that Red Hot. Let's go check it out. Well, like 3 hot dogs and 3 beers later after the breakfast, I'm just like, holy shit. So the next thing you know, I'm down there. I love hot dogs my whole life. You can boil them, microwave them, fry them. I mean, it's like Forrest Gump, but with really shitty meat, you know? And so I just started hanging out there. And so the funny thing is that there was always 3 Jeffs that were there waiting at the open. So there was Jeff Smith, who was the Jeff, and then there was Jeff McMahon, who was the dude.
Yep.
Who we definitely all know. And then there was Jeff Lee. And back in the day, Cindy and Lou, Stu and Chris's parents, they worked shifts there. Yep. And so Cindy started calling me Jeff Lee because to differentiate the 3 of us. So Jeff Lee stuck. So now everybody calls me Jeff Lee. There's no just regular Jeff. It's always Jeff Lee. So
I'm gonna try to say it one of these days.
Just
See if I can.
You're gonna feel weird. It's gonna feel like
thinking about it. It
it's
feels
gonna feel
dirty
like
and
you
gross.
need to
like,
sneeze,
Yeah.
but you're like it's got stuck. Like that's how that's gonna feel.
The funny thing was, I hadn't met Chris yet. You know, Chris is pretty much the driving force behind the Red Hot,
Right.
His idea, and the family got behind it, and it turned very successful. So I'm still working out in Eatonville. So I'd work till like 11 o'clock or 10:30 or so, depending on, and I would leave work, and I'd stop at the Roy Y on 7, and I'd jump out of the car at the 7-Eleven there where they had a payphone, and I'd call my wife, and I'd say, hey, I'm just leaving work. I was like, so I'll be home in like an hour and 10 minutes. So even though now I'm only about 30 minutes away. And so I'd rush to the Red Hot. And so I'd sit at the end of the bar, and Chris always had a killer tap list, and I'd have a couple beers. And, you know, back then beers were $3.
Yeah.
And so I'd have a couple beers, and I'd leave at 20. And I'd just walk out the back door, and I'd never talk to anybody. And I'd just rush home. So this one day I go in there, and they have Dogfish Head 120 minute on. And I know it.
Fucking hot.
Yeah, you never knew what you're going to get with the 120 minute. Could be hot, could be, but totally. So I'm just like, oh, shit. Yep. So he has a sign on the back, he had those little towers there. He has signs on the back of the towers that said 1 per person. So I ordered my Dogfish Head. I want to say it was like $8 back then. I had my 1, I slid my 20, and I got up to leave, and all of a sudden he goes, hey. I'm like, hey. And Chris is a big dude, I mean, he's an intimidating guy, and I'm like, the way he said hey, I was like, huh? And he goes,
what did I do wrong?
What's that?
What did I do wrong?
Yeah. And he's like, you want another? And I'm like, he's like, oh no. And he slides my 20 back to me. He goes, I got these. And he goes, dude, what's your story? Like, you come in here every Friday, Saturday night, you have a couple beers, you don't talk to anybody, and you just roll. And I leave a fat tip. And so we started bullshitting. And a few weeks of that, and one day he says to me, he goes, hey, what are you doing tomorrow? And I said, nothing, and he's like, meet me down here at whatever, 10 o'clock or whatever. And they opened at 1 back then on Sundays. They weren't open on Sundays for a while, but they opened at 1. And so I got home, I told the wife, I said, I think Chris at the Red Hot's going to offer me a job tomorrow. She goes, you never know. And I'm like, yeah. So I go down there, and he's like, hey, man, like, we're going to start opening at 11, and you know sports, and we're looking for somebody with your kind of personality. You want a job? I was like, man, thanks, but nah, I'm good. I was like, this is like my spot. Like, this is where I hang out. And he goes, my employees don't pay for anything they eat or drink. I said, what? Seriously? He goes, no. He goes, I don't want anyone stealing from me. So I just give everybody everything. He goes, your wife too. I was like, fuck. Oh. Hold on. So I went home and I went home and talked to Steph, and I was like, hey, I'm going to take this. She's like, go for it. So I started working Sundays in there. And then after like 2 weeks, I took I took Cindy's shift on Mondays, or I forget. But then next thing you know, I'm working Lou and Cindy's shifts, and then I'm picking up Wednesday shifts, and now I'm working 7 days a week. But it was awesome. It was like it was incredible, and the Millers put a lot of trust in me.
Yeah.
So
that was before they expanded to the new side.
Yeah, I actually never worked a day in the new side.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
So, but.
And then a star was born.
Well, yeah, actually, it was pretty crazy. I never expected anything, but me and Triple J, Justin Johnson,
Yep.
I mean, we really grew a daytime clientele,
Yeah.
It was a lot of fun, and we'd have the same 80 people in there like every day. You know how it is.
Absolutely.
Yeah, you guys totally know how it is.
Shane and I, Thursday test kitchen, that was the day, always walking over for test kitchen.
Oh, I know. You taught me my lesson, and the lesson you taught me. So Sean Jackson actually taught me the best lesson I ever learned in this business.
Can't be the best.
No, it's pretty close to the best. It really is.
Okay.
Sean and Shane came over every Thursday for test kitchen, and we did a different dog, and we also did a $3 beer. Or no, it wasn't even a $3 beer. It was just a test kitchen day. And so we had a board, the bartender's choice, and my choice that day was, Oakshire, but Oakshire Line Rye Ale, I think it was called, and the fucking beer sucked.
Oh no,
it was really bad. So at the Red Hot back then, if something was on like 4 or 5 days, that was a long time.
Yeah.
So I'm just trying to blow this beer out, so I make it my choice of the day. And so Shane and Sean come in, they eat, and they leave, and Sean gets all the way to the front door, and he turns around and he runs back to the bar, and he goes, "Hey Jeff Lee, you really like that Oakshire?" I was like, "Oh no, man, that beer sucks." He's like, "Jeff Lee," he said, "I bought that because you put your name on it." And seriously, that like stuck with me through the whole time.
Dude.
It was like, so ever since then, I've tried to be pretty damn honest, if not brutally honest, about what I'm drinking and what I'm selling,
dude.
Yeah.
And that
good
can be
about
tough
that.
sometimes.
Yeah.
I know. It can be tough sometimes. You have all my breweries that I work with now are my babies, but I don't always like the beer sometimes. But
Amen.
so anyway, thank you for that.
That's a hard lesson
I'll
to
drink to
learn, man.
that. Cheers, buddy.
Fuck, dude. Sean, I never asked you what you were drinking, but I'm pretty sure I know the answer.
So instead of barley wine like normal, I went with the bourbon barrel aged Doppelbock from Bowie.
Oh, right.
The Decapitator. And then I've got a little bit of the Chuckanut Cascadian Common Ale, which if you're about to ask, like, what is a common ale? Like, I'd love to explain this one.
Please.
So, steam beer.
Yeah.
California originated. Anchor was, one of the first producers, and essentially it's using lager yeast and fermenting it at warmer ale temperatures, and it's a little more effervescent, and it's a really unique beer style. and I learned that Anchor wasn't actually the only one. Like,
no.
there was a James Gate out in Richmond, Virginia, also was known for making steam beer about the same time frame. But it was an old style of beer, before refrigeration was prevalent, and kids were trying to just do what they could.
How do I cool my beer the quickest?
Yeah.
Oh, you put it in a big flat thing,
And
you let everything cool off.
yeah, the reason for the common ale is because I love Anchor beer. I loved them for years. Their porter was like world class, spot on. But they trademarked the use of steam as far as beer.
I didn't know
And fuck them.
That's pretty
Fuck
whack.
them. Assholes. So that's why the style became known as California Common, which
Yep.
sounds fucking stupid.
Well, there's Kentucky
Like,
Common
steam
too.
beer's way
Even-
better. And then,
You know what else fuck them about? Those fucking kegs they used to use.
yeah.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Sorry. I
Yeah.
digress.
It was, the beer was good enough, it was worth changing and fitting.
Yeah.
But, so this should be the Chuckanut steam beer. And it's not.
It can be that in your heart.
It is on our fucking board.
Good.
Can't sue me
It's
for
on
what
the
I write
board?
on the board, yeah.
You can't sue me over chalk, man.
Or maybe you can. I don't know.
I don't know either,
We'll
man.
maybe find out.
We're gonna take a break in just a second, but I do want to say that we had our first kind of like beer submission from a listener. So Mike from the Browns Point Homebrew Club brought some of his Phantasm West Coast, which I've been sipping on, and it's delicious. He heard us talking about Phantasm like every other episode, so he was like, "Hey, I just made one of those." So thank you so much, man. It's really wonderful,
It was damn good.
Yep. He did a great job.
Crispy
Also,
and
how did you
grapey
get your
and-
hands on it?
delicious.
Okay. Good.
But yeah, we're gonna take a quick break. We'll be right back.
Cheers.
Welcome back, everybody. Thanks for sticking around. As always, want to give a shout out to Channel 253. Doug, our wonderful producer, is Channel 253.
Woo!
And it's an amazing place to catch a network of podcasts that are run by community members and leaders talking about all of the things that are important to this town and in this community. If you want to stay connected, it's a great way to do it. And you can support those guys by going to channel253.com/membership. Nailed it. So yeah, we'll get into Sean's favorite segment, which is fuck up stories.
It is my favorite.
Fuck up stories.
But Sean has one every fucking week that's about him dying, which is or almost dying. But
Yeah.
I told him I would tell one this time.
I'm glad to be off the hook this second.
I'm gonna have to have a near death experience to keep filming.
Well,
this
is
time.
getting close to running dry. It's not a.
No, mine is like because I work for a distributor, and that's like mostly what I've done in this industry. And like our fuck up stories are not particularly exciting or romantic. But when I first got hired onto a distributor, it was a big distributor, and I was like feeling myself really hard because I had just passed my my certified cicerone exam, which at that time some distributors were requiring that, and then people at those distributors were taking the tests, failing, and then refusing to take it again just because it was a lot to do and it was difficult. And so some jobs opened up, and I was able to like squeak in, and I was like the fourth person ever to be like an outside hired directly as a sales rep at this distributor. So they told me that, and I was like, oh, I'm like, cool, I'm hot shit then. And I felt like that, like a lot. And I did like the sales training, I did everything, but it was all sales associates. So for anybody who isn't super familiar, if you're on the sales side, generally, if you move over to distribution, you go to like a sales support role, and then you train for a few years. That's kind of like the grind, and then you might take over a sales route. Being a sales rep is tough and it's complicated, and it takes a lot of training and management skills and shit like that. All things that I did not really have, but I was pretty confident that I could just do it. And
Fake it till you make it.
dude, yeah, which is I 100% believe that, but like it's also a really good way to get fucking exposed really quick. And I finished my sales training, and instead of like doing what all the other sales associates did, like riding along with reps, I just took a sales route immediately. And I was covering for an established salesperson who was like close to retirement there. So his sales route was fucking dialed, and it should have been easy. And I finished my first day, and I was like, dude, this is it. This is great. Like, I wrote my orders, I did my inventories, I did my merching, I did everything. And the next day, the first delivery that I had sent was a Fred Meyer over in the Puyallup area, which that whole area, that South Hill Puyallup area, is fucking busy. Those Fred Meyers are super high volume. And the receiver called me. She's like, hey, you only sent me 11 pallets today. And I was like, yeah, that's like what she's like, did you look at the ad board? And I was like, what the fuck is that an ad board? And she's like, I need like 8 more pallets, like now. And so I didn't know. I called my DM and I was like, what the fuck? And he was like, you need to send an out of sequence. And again, for anybody who isn't super familiar, an out of sequence is it's just sending a truck to a specific place on a day where it doesn't belong there, where it's not routed. Just getting a truck to any place as a distributor is really expensive. It can take it takes hundreds of dollars, sometimes thousands, just in like labor and time and all of this stuff. And sending a truck on a day where it doesn't belong there, where it's an extra route, is also really expensive. So you're not supposed to do it. Even now, doing like more than 1 or 2 a month can get you like written up at some distributors because it just costs a shitload of money. That first week where I was covering that sales route, I did 5.
Oh, boy.
And I was just fucking up all week. Every week I had like receivers calling me going, hey, what the fuck? You didn't do this. You didn't look at this. I needed this. So like, and then I had like merchandisers calling me going, hey, you only sent this many pallets here and there's supposed to be this many. And I was like, oh, God damn it. And so my DM on Thursday, after like I asked for my 4th one, was like, hey, like, I know, like, you're just getting used to things, but, like, you gotta chill on this. Like, what can I do to help? And I like, could not fucking get a grasp of it. It was awful. And so, like, that was, like, a bummer first week. But the part that, like, made it the worst is that on Friday, the DM that hired me, who, like, advocated to hire an outside hire who was, like, making a route for me to take after I was done covering this route, he called me, and instead of being like, hey, you fucked up a bunch this week, please don't do that, which I was expecting and would have been fine with. He was like, hey, I just want you to know that I know you're trying really hard, and I know you're doing it. You're doing your best, and that fucking it hurt so bad to hear that. Like, it was so much worse than him going, hey, you fucked up, just clean it up, please, just like figure this shit out. He was like, no, like, I know you're doing it. It was like he was talking himself into the fact that he didn't fuck up hiring me. And that's like what it felt like. And that was brutal. And I still sent one the week after.
Oh, yeah.
Didn't learn.
You're even underselling how much distributors hate sending out those extra trucks. It's not fun.
Yeah, it's expensive and time consuming, and it fucks everybody up. And you get in trouble for doing it. And I was so sure I was getting fired. There was 2 times at that job where I was pretty sure I was getting fired, and that was for sure one of them, like a week after I started.
Also, you did say feeling myself pretty hard, right?
Oh, yeah.
I had a way different image. Like,
I'm sure
when
you
I
did.
say that about myself, it's a way different. It's like, okay, if you have a stick with multiple hands.
I gotcha.
No, multiple hands on a stick. Because 2 hands isn't enough sometimes.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
No, I was like, extra
where is
confident.
this going?
I was wondering where we were going.
I was
too.
like extra confident.
My first day of the job, I was in the
'cause
cooler at Fred Meyer, feeling myself pretty hard.
And that's the other time I almost got fired.
Dude, instead I got a raise?
I know, right? Oh, thanks. That was a good one.
I know, I'm better than that, sorry.
That's okay.
Ron's not here to temper things.
Ron tempers things?
He's a good buffer for sure.
his aura.
Yeah, that's true.
Aura.
That's true.
No, I was just
It
like
makes me a
feeling
better
super
person.
confident because like I had my boss at the time was the 3rd person to ever get hired directly as a sales rep. So like outside hires were just so unusual, and like people knew who I was because of that. And it just like, I was like, oh man, maybe this is what I'm supposed to be doing. This is super cool. And like, I was super fucking confident, and that got just washed away immediately in an avalanche of fuck ups for the first week. It sucked.
You recovered though.
I did. I figured shit out, which is great. But they immediately put me on an on-premise route because they were like, this guy should not be in grocery stores.
Oh, they moved you where you belong. Though.
Yeah,
I was gonna say.
And then you took over
that.
I know.
And then you took over as a specialty guy, which was exactly where you belong. So they figured it out.
They figured it out.
Yeah, they figured it out.
Oh, I showed them.
Nice.
All right, Jeff.
Why are you looking at me?
Your turn.
It's your turn.
Oh, fuck ups?
Yeah.
Fuck ups. You mean besides marrying my first wife?
Hey,
Thank you.
you just made me look a lot better. Thank you, buddy.
I mean, I'm gonna keep it to like an industry thing. Like,
okay.
Yeah, just another thing, kind of along the whole line with what happened with Sean and me trying to tell the truth about beers. Again, I was a neo. Oh, there we go.
Yeah, right there.
Is that better? Sorry. Again, I was kind of a neophyte guy. I was thrown right into a sales route. I went right from managing the Red Hot to running a route for Alpha Distributing, RIP. I was just flying by the seat of my pants there for a little while. And one of my accounts was Pint Defiance, Barry Watson, who was tough to deal with sometimes. Hi, Barry. And,
he knew it. He knew.
Another one of my accounts was 99 Bottles and Craig, who was also tough to deal with. And so it was kind of weird because before the bottle shop thing, really there was a lot of collaboration, and what really the beer world, at least in Tacoma, was about was friendship and sharing and making sure everybody was covered. And when the bottle shop started rolling along, this big rivalry between shops started, and everybody was out to get, I want this, I want that. And it seemed to be like a big thing between these shops. And I guess I didn't understand it at the time. Mm-hmm. But so I, one of your brands now, Upright, I had Upright Brewing at the time, and they were they weren't a new brewery, but they made a lot of very specialty stuff that was very sought after. And there was arguments between the bottle shops about who would get what allocations. Yeah. So, I'm sorry, we don't allocate in the state. I'm just telling you. Anyway. And so Craig at 99 Bottles always had like all the core Upright on the shelf. Yep. And Barry wanted the specialty stuff. And I mean, occasionally he would have the core stuff on there too, but Craig just sold a lot more shit than Barry did. So I got like 2 cases of, I don't even remember what it was. It wasn't the peach. Yeah. It wasn't, what was that one? Fantasia. It wasn't Fantasia, but it was something else. And I got like 2 cases, and I asked my boss, Jeff Burt, at the time, what should I do? And he was like, well, fucking sell it to the guy who sells Upright. And I'm like, all right. So I sent an email to Craig saying, hey, man, I got these 2 cases for you. Do you want them? Blah, blah, blah. And right back, yeah. Oh, yeah, I want them. Well, little did I know I had included Barry on the email.
Oh, fuck.
Yep. So I had actually, I had written it to both of them.
Oh, God.
Because sometimes I'm just a stoner.
Worse than when Sean almost died those times.
Yeah, it was pretty bad. So I get a call from Barry, and he's like, hey, man, like, why didn't I? And I made up some shit excuse about why Barry didn't get it. Like there was a mistake, blah, blah, blah. And Barry, like for a few weeks, he kept saying like, what the fuck? Like, what happened? And I just kept lying. And so finally this one day, Barry goes, hey, come here real quick. And he brings me into the back office and he shows me the email. And I'm just like, oh shit. My God. So right then there, I told him, you know what, Barry, let's make a deal right now. From now on, I'll tell you the truth about what's going on, and you just accept the truth for what it is. Right? I mean, that's fair. Let's just, I will be truthful, but you got to accept the truth. And so Barry and I came to an accord at that moment. But It was a little dicey there for a second.
Dude.
And Barry, honestly, Barry was tough. I mean, Barry ran a great shop.
Well, he knows it, man.
Yeah, I know he knows it.
There's for anybody who doesn't know, there's a lot of, distributors and sales guys at breweries. Like, there's plenty of accounts all over Washington and all over the country that are like we know of places in other states where there's difficult buyers. But at the end of the day, when those guys are tough on us, it's just because they want to get cool beer for their regulars. For the
Absolutely.
It's like they're doing it for the people on the other side of the bar, and that's part of it. So when they give us shit, it's fucking sucks, and it feels like the world is ending. But we also don't take it personally because they're not doing it. Like Barry never did it because he wanted to be a fucking millionaire in the beer business. He wanted to share this stuff with the people who come into his shop, and that was always what it was. And that's almost always the case with those guys who are admittedly jackasses, but that's why they did it, and it was it's a good thing. But it's scary. It's scary
but
when
it
you fuck
sucked
up, dude.
at the moment. Let me tell you. Love
Maybe
you, Barry.
not today, but I got some stories about some straight jackasses.
So do I.
Yeah.
We all do. all those
when I run out
all
of
those guys
fuck
that
ups,
admit it, man.
we'll start a new segment.
The
You're
jackass.
a real life asshole.
Yeah.
On work, off work, every moment you breathe in air.
Oh yeah.
We'll put out the unredacted version.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Asshole spotlight.
I will say though, I miss. I like Pint D now, but I do miss the old Pint D with Barry.
Yeah.
It was a good shop. He procured some amazing shit, and clientele there was absolutely out of this world.
He was a force in the beginning of. Remember the Hoppywood Squares question?
No, yep,
Right? That was a good one.
Yeah,
I mean, freaking Cascade Homebrewing Supply.
Yep.
That was
That was a good question.
yeah. Watson worked here.
yeah.
A lot of folks in the loop in it was they didn't know he worked at the Red Hot.
No idea. I know.
Yeah.
Oh,
That
I got
one
a
in,
story about that too.
Please, I defer to our guest.
Man, I don't know if I can tell this one.
Yep, you can.
All right.
Well,
I'll
we
tell
can't- we
it.
can't-
I love you, Barry.
Oh,
So anyway,
We
yeah,
all
I'm
do.
gonna tell it. So by this time, I'm managing the Red Hot, and I'll tell you what, that fucking place was busy. I mean, it was fucking stupid in there, and I think it was supposed to be 49 was supposed to be what the capacity was.
the
and
capacity.
man, some of my best friends in the world I met are because I had to sit at a table with other people. It was
totally.
like you doubled up, you tripled up.
Mix it up with randos.
You
Sometimes
sat-
a lap here and there.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it depends on how handsome he was. But so Barry came to work for us, and it was he was good. I mean, it was after the Rosewood. He was kind of in between things, trying to figure shit out, and I'm being the manager. So a lot of times I ended up having to work doubles. And I fucking hated doubles. So and a lot of them were they would call you at 3 o'clock. 3 o'clock. Supposed to be there at 4:30 or 5 and 3 o'clock. And, my wife hated doubles even more than I did, to be honest. Actually, the thing about doubles is I always came out of that, lean into the right, because that's where I had my wallet. And so my wallet was stacked at the end of those doubles. I mean, it wasn't terrible. But so this one time, Barry called, and he was only working a shift a week. And he was like, sorry, Barry. And he goes, hey, man, I just don't think I can work today. And I'm like, what's up? And he says, dude, it's just too busy. It's just too busy in there. And I said, okay, you know what? Don't sweat it. It's fine. It's all good. So I called Chris and I said, hey, man, Barry called out, too busy. And he's like, oh, okay. I'm like, dude, I'm just going to pull him off the schedule. And Chris was like, yeah. And I said, yep. I'll tell him. I'll let him know. And so Barry called back about 4:30 and goes, hey, you know what? I'm fine. You know what? I'm fine. I can, I'll be in there tonight. I was like, you know what, Barry? Don't sweat it, man. Thank you. We're good to go. I'll take care of it tonight. So then later on, he showed up in there that night to drink and eat. Yeah.
To drink and eat.
Yeah, so I mean, you know what? I told him like, hey, he offered to come back and work.
That's true.
I told him don't sweat it, and so I talked to Chris on the next day, and Chris was like, "So what do you want to do?" And I'm like, "Well, I think we probably." Chris like, "I'll take care of it." So Chris took care of that one.
Did you get Barry fired?
I did. Well, I wouldn't call it fired. I mean, Barry didn't need
He was
the
doing
job.
his, he was like,
you know,
he was doing
just
it to fucking
burning
hang
time,
out, man.
you know?
Yeah, for sure.
So
he was trying to keep his like feet wet a little bit. I
yeah,
think,
just he was staying busy while they were trying to work on whatever they were doing. So,
yeah.
Yeah.
you know, I'm not.
Jeff Lee fired Barry.
I'm not talking. No. No.
Barry was just waiting for you to send a case to the wrong account. He was like, I'm gonna get this motherfucker.
That does make the previous story a lot more interesting, doesn't it?
He's like, I'm gonna fucking call him out. I'm gonna not let him know I saw these emails. I'm gonna pull him in my office and show him after he's told me 3 weeks worth of lies.
What day does this podcast run?
Friday.
I'm sure Saturday I'll have a text. So
I'm supposed to go see him.
love you, Barry.
You are really assuming that people listen to this.
I got a feeling more people listen to this than you think so.
Yeah, probably.
So anyway, that's kind of my fuck up. With a little segue.
That's a good one. That's a couple of good ones.
Oh, there's more. But
sure
we're gonna leave it at that.
So, okay. You and your passion for craft beer.
Yeah.
Give me some early on hits.
Yeah.
Like,
Totally.
what were you drinking before this was your awakening?
Yeah. So, fucking shit. So I actually, in high school, I hated beer. It was terrible. I hated just a real shitty American lager. I drank like Burgermeister, if anybody remembers Bergie. Yeah, the old man over there was like, fuck yeah.
Doug's like, that was my shit.
Yeah. Like burgery. I would steal Bud out of, no, I love Budweiser. I'd steal shitty Bud out of my grandpa's fridge. And I hated it, but I got drunk off it, you know? So, this one time I'm at a fraternity party, Delta Sigma Phi. I'm not a member, but, like an, honorary member.
Fucking what?
And so I'm at this fraternity party, and this
That's
dude,
your third fuck up story.
fuck, that should have been the first one. And so dude rolls by, and he's got a 6-pack of Sierra Pale.
Oh, yeah.
And I said, hey, what is that? And no clue what it was. And I'm drinking like wine. I'm drinking like California Cooler. Fucking, I'm getting iced, Smirnoff iced. You know, I mean, I'd never went the Zima route, so just don't judge me that bad. And so, just really shitty shit.
I Zima'd.
And so, did you?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's another fuck up story. And so, I popped a Sierra Nevada Pale, and I was just like, holy fuck, this is amazing.
Flavor?
Yeah.
What? Yeah.
So I started drinking Sierra Pale, and I drank it all the time. And so one day I went to grab a 6-pack of Sierra Pale, and I saw Sierra Nevada Stout in the grocery aisle.
Fuck yeah, dude.
I had no idea what a stout was.
You remember when you could just buy that?
Yeah.
We'll talk about what beers we miss after
Yeah.
this.
Just 6-pack after 6-pack. But anyway, I grab a 6-pack of Sierra Nevada Stout, and I take it home, and I pop it open, and the shit's black. And I'm like, what the hell? And I drink it, and I'm just like, oh, my God. Like, oh, seriously, like, my taste buds just went, this is what I'm talking about. Like, this right here. And so I started drinking. Next thing you know, I'm drinking Old Rasputin.
Oh, man.
Yep.
Fuck yeah, dude.
Yeah, I moved on to Old Rasputin. And then after that, if you remember Red Hook with the double black stout back when they brewed it with Starbucks before Starbucks was what it was. That was my jam, coffee stout.
That was an early coffee collaboration.
Yep,
Man. People were
early. This had
not
to be like
doing that shit.
95, maybe.
Coffee stouts are coffee collaborations with roasters or coffee shops and breweries is everywhere now, man. That was an early one.
Yeah.
Because like this is one of the only places in around that time where coffee was like taken off the way it was, and so for Red Hook was like, dude, there's a lot of coffee drinkers. Like, I bet we can get them to drink our stout if we just put some of this in there.
Yep.
That was fucking early on that train.
Oh, it was fantastic.
Yep.
And so, and actually, and I got to tell Ken Grossman personally this story, which is amazing. So then this one day I go in and to grab some stout, and there's Bigfoot Barleywine, and I have no idea what a barley wine is, but I look at I pick it up and I'm looking at it, and I'm like, 10%. Holy shit. Like, okay, let's go. So I take it home and I popped the first one. And back then I was playing, I think it's PlayStation. It might have been PlayStation. No, it wasn't PlayStation. It was Sega Genesis. So I'm playing Madden on my Sega Genesis. And the next thing I know, my ex-wife is shaking my shoulders. And she goes, Jeff. And I like get up. And I've got a rug burn on my face, straight across. I'm laying on a block of cheese. I've got a block of cheese that's like half melted into the carpet, and I have no goddamn idea what just happened, except for all 6 of those bottles are empty because they sold it in a 6-pack back then.
That's the best barley wine endorsement I've ever heard in my fucking life.
And it was, that was something. But, that was definitely, around that time, too, I started drinking. I had broken my back, like talking about a close
Falling
to
on
death.
the cheese?
No, I jumped off a bridge.
Oh.
That's a story for another day.
Okay.
But into a river, not like trying to kill myself or anything. And so while I was rehabbing, this pizza place that was about 8 blocks away, they told me go walk. So what they didn't say was don't eat 2 pizza subs and 4 pints or drink 4 pints a day. But I found this place called Porky's Pizza Palace in San Leandro.
What a great name.
Yeah. Yeah. And he had Anderson Valley and Anchor and all the early California breweries.
Little Red Tail in there.
Oh, definitely some
Mendocino.
Red Tail, a little Mendocino. Absolutely.
Humboldt.
Yeah, Humboldt.
Red Nectar.
Yeah, oh yeah. Well, then the funny part was now it's called Drake's, but at the time it was called Lynn Brewing, and their flagship was Jolly Roger.
Yep.
And so I used to drink the shit out of Jolly Roger. It was that was kind of where I really like, even with the I was already into craft beer, but that's where my really another place I found Old Speckled Hen on cask.
Oh shit.
Yeah. So I was drinking Old Speckled Hen on cask, and I had a really nice break into
you did
to craft. So I didn't even realize like Liberty Ale was an IPA. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
I was just a neophyte drinking great beer, and it was a lot of fun.
That's a solid foray, man.
Yeah.
Jesus, dude.
Oh shit! I tell you what, none of that's as good as what that pizza sub was from Porky's. Any of my homies back in the Bay Area know what I'm talking about.
I'll make it fast. Bigfoot story. Working at Mud Shark. Head into the GABF, 1999 it was. Captain Ron Chifo and I, and we're rolling through some part of Colorado from Arizona. And we stop at a little gas station, and I had been doing beer runs to Oceanside, California, like call-ahead orders for Humboldt, Bear Republic, and Stone Products, and Bigfoot.
Fucking Bear Republic.
Bear Republic.
Oh,
my God. How did I forget Bear Republic?
Things we couldn't get in Arizona. So I would literally drive the 85 Mercury Oldsmobile, fill up the trunk, like I'd get the cash, come back. Anywho, we're rolling through. We stop at this little gas station, and there's 6ers of Bigfoot on the shelf. And there was 2 of them. So we grab them, and we were so excited. We're like giddy at the register, and the old guy checking this out. They're like, oh, you boys like this stuff? And we're like, fuck yeah, we love this stuff. He's like, I got 6 more cases, and we were like, yep.
Oh my God.
Somewhere on planet Earth, there's a picture, like he gave us the hand truck.
Oh my God.
It's me with the hand truck and 5 cases and Captain Ron with one over his head, and it was one of the greatest. I'm getting a little fucking misty. It's one of the greatest goddamn fucking tastes of my life.
I know, that's so...
Love it.
Yeah.
Fuck yeah.
Shit, man, we're just about out of time. I can't believe it went by so quick.
Number 1 beer you missed the most. Can't get it anymore.
Number 1 beer. So, number 1 beer I miss the most that I can't get anymore, and I don't even know if it's because I can't get it anymore, but any of the Avery Demon shit.
Yeah.
I just, we don't see it out here anymore. Maybe when we go back to GABF, I'll go visit the brewery and we get some of that shit. But man, some fucking Mephistopheles or the Demon, Samael. Yeah. Oh, let's go.
Yep.
Let's go. Good answer?
Great answer.
Sean's like, I still got some kegs of that shit.
I bet he does.
I do still have some kegs of that shit.
I know you fucking do.
I got one more round sometime around Halloween. Like, this is kind of, I think, our last cellar wad to blow on the Avery, but we're doing it, so
nice.
It's coming.
For anybody who doesn't know, we don't say
Get your diaper
enough,
on.
But we actually, Sean lets us do this podcast out of the Parkway Tavern. So if you're ever around on Wednesdays at 5:30, you can always feel free to hang out in the Red Room with us and have a beer while we bullshit.
Yeah.
Jeff, thanks so much for hanging out, dude.
Thanks, buddy.
Hey, guys, seriously, thanks for having me. I'm not gonna admit, I was a little nervous coming in. Like,
man.
I don't know why, because I just bullshit as well as anybody.
Yeah, dude.
So I shouldn't have been nervous.
It was a great story.
And it's at the fucking
We're just busting each
Parkway,
other's balls for 60 minutes.
Yeah.
Like, that's all it is, man.
Yeah, I loved it. Thank you for asking me. I appreciate it. If you ever need another fill-in for Ron, let me know.
Yeah, hell yeah.
Fuck yeah.
Yeah.
Or me.
Or you,
Yeah.
yeah, totally.
I'm
Or
gonna try
Matt.
and- I'm gonna try and do-
Matt never does.
My palate's
Matt
not
doesn't
good
get a
enough
day
to
off.
fill Matt's shoes.
Matt and Doug, nope.
I'm gonna try and do Ron's sign out.
Oh,
I'm
fuck
gonna-
yeah.
I'm
Good
on it.
luck.
All right.
Do it.
All right, grit. No, I'm joking. I almost said, no, I'm not gonna do it. I'm not gonna do it. I'm not gonna do it because it hurt just to do that. So all right, Grit and Grainers. Email us at cheers@gritandgrainpodcast.com with your comments, opinions, and whiskey wrestling photos, which is from the last episode if you didn't listen. We read and drink everything we receive, and we'll try to respond as quickly as we can. If not online, then on air. You can subscribe to the Grit and Grain podcast on Apple Music, Spotify, Google Play, iHeartRadio, and Stitcher. And please leave a review. It helps us out a ton, and we love to see them. Be sure to also follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. I'm going to repeat this one. For photos of high-waisted beige pleated khaki slacks and other things we wear. Thank you again to Channel 253 and our engineer, Doug, for the help.
Thanks, Doug.
If this podcast is not what you
Doug.
expected, please alter your expectations. Did you guys know that Minnie Mouse's real first name is Minerva?
Yes.
Look it up. You knew that? No, you fucking,
I did not.
fucking old guys.
As much money as I spent with Disney, you think I'd know that?
There's no such thing as a bad time to visit Tacoma, and there's no such thing as too much barley wine. Tune in next Friday for more sweet chatter. Cheers.
Cheers.
Thanks again for tuning in. Don't forget to follow us at Grit and Grain Podcast wherever you get your social media and catch new episodes every Friday. Cheers.
Grit and Grain is part of the Channel 253 podcast network. Check out our other shows: Nerd Farmer, Interchangeable White Ladies, Move to Tacoma, Crossing Division, Citizen Tacoma, What Say You, We Are Tacoma, Flounders B Team, and Taco Man.
This is Channel 253.